Not every game that deserves a sequel gets one, usually because whoever publishes that particular game has analysed its profitability, market potential, and whether loot boxes can be added to it, and decided they can't be asked. All too often this means a great series withers on the vine, but not always. Sometimes players are treated to what's known as a spiritual successor, a game that is completely separate to the one that inspired it, but has the same spirit, the same design DNA. And sometimes these spiritual sequels end up kicking so much butt, we have to think the big publisher who neglected to give the original series the attention it deserved ends up ruining the day they decided not to continue the series themselves. Here are 7 spiritual successors that surely provoked a great deal of rueing. Oh, they rued it, alright. They rued it big time. I don't know what rue means.
このゴールが達成できればゲームを作ることができます。だけどさらに支援をいただければもっと規模の大きいゲームを作ることができます。もっと敵が増える。もっとボスが増える。さらにもっと武器も増える。
If you want to know how deeply ingrained Castlevania is, merely consider how long it's been since it last occurred to you that its name is deeply stupid. Castlevania. That's nothing. What's even weirder is the way publisher Konami spent nearly 3 decades furiously crafting a dizzying number of Castlevania games, then abruptly stopped 10 years ago after Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. Konami has never since returned to the Castlevania well, even as the 2D Metroidvania genre continues to host some of the greatest video games in recent memory, from Hollow Knight to Metroid Dread. When Nintendo is more up for revisiting classic series than you, that's a problem, Konami. What probably will have given Konami pause for thought is the fact that when ex-Castlevania lead producer Koji Igarashi took to Kickstarter in 2015 to ask for $500,000 to make a spiritual successor to Castlevania, the project was back to the tune of $1.5 million within 24 hours.
それで新しいプランを全世界のパブリッシャーにプレゼンしたわけです。ところがそれではビジネスにならないと言われました。
When it was eventually released in 2019, it was to similar enthusiasm, with critics swooning over Bloodstained Ritual of the Night's razor-sharp Castlevania vibes. In September 2023, publisher 505 Games boasted it had sold 2 million copies, proving that there had always been an appetite for smashing apart a castle while a heavy metal string orchestra goes ham in the background. Even if it doesn't feature an official Belmont or canonical Alucard. Now let's move on before I have to successfully say canonical Alucard ever again. Canonical Alucard. No, it's gone forever.
Puzzle platformers were all the rage in the late 90s, and one developer in particular rose to prominence: Rare. Making Donkey Kong titles for Nintendo and Conker's Bad Fur Day for weirdos, they proved themselves to be pretty adept at making 3D puzzle platforming adventures. But their most successful title was, of course, Banjo-Kazooie. With varied levels, fun gameplay, and Rare's unique sense of humour, the game received critical acclaim, millions of fans, a couple of spin-offs, and a couple of sequels. Yes, we are including the weird Xbox 360 car one. But since that outing in 2008, nothing has been heard from this musically named duo outside of a Smash Bros cameo. And why? This is most likely because the company was bought by Microsoft in 2002. From then on, Rare was somewhat at the whim of Xbox, doing whatever they tasked them with, and eventually that became mainly making Xbox avatars and Kinect games. Forcing one of their best studios to make Kinect games? Sounds like a financially sound move that Microsoft won't later regret. Gradually, frustrated members of the original Banjo-Kazooie team left the company one by one, until years later a new developer, Playtonic, arose and announced its plan to make a spiritual successor to the classic 90s platformer, and the game's name? Yooka-Laylee. Get it? Like the musical instrument? Like Banjo-Kazooie? You get it. This announcement came in the form of a Kickstarter that showed off the new duo and some initial gameplay. There were so many Xtra legends working on the project, such as character artist Steve Mayles and programmer Chris Sutherland, aka the voice of Killer Instinct. Add composer Grant Kirkhope, and people threw money at the idea, even though this early build committed the crime of using Comic Sans. It reached the needed £175,000 within 40 minutes of launching, and raised over $2 million by the end of the campaign, proving that there was indeed demand for a nostalgic platforming adventure. Most importantly, it sold well and sparked the very positively received 2D spin-off Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. And while nothing has been heard from the Lizard and Bat in a while, it was reported in 2021 that Playtonic were working on a sequel, so we may be hearing from them again soon. Still, it gives me plenty of time to play one of these great Kinect games before it comes out. The Black Eyed Peas Experience, Hulk Hogan's Main Event, Grease Dance.
As a young man, I thought it was impossible for trading card games to be cool and exciting, except for Yu-Gi-Oh!, who taught me to believe in the heart of the cards. Imagine my surprise and delight then upon becoming a grown-up and finding out that deck building and battling games are actually pretty kick-ass a lot of the time. And none was such a mega hit as Hearthstone, the surprisingly accessible but extremely deep, competitive 1v1 card battler that Blizzard released in 2013 as a free-to-play spin-off of World of Warcraft. By 2016, Hearthstone was making publisher Blizzard about $400 million a year, which is about as much of a surprise as it is to see a face hunter play Unleash the Hounds turn 4 when there's a hyena already on the board. Anyone? No? Well, that's not a surprise. It's not a surprise. It's not surprising. Hearthstone wasn't perfect though. Over the years, heaps more mechanics were added, making the game more complex. Cards got retired from competitive play, making them feel like less of a worthy real money investment, and in the midst of this, the game's director Ben Brode left Blizzard to start a new studio, and oh look, here's Marvel Snap on absolutely everyone's smartphone in the year of our Lord 2022.
Rock Slide, that's only 6 power, doubled, it's not enough to defeat my Namor.
With decks built of just 12 cards and games lasting just 6 turns, Marvel Snap took the basics of Hearthstone and crunched them down to unpredictable, mind-bogglingly quickfire card battles featuring a large number of Spider-Men and all the other ones you know. While Blizzard was probably never in the running to make Marvel Snap, it will certainly have smarted to see the trading card crown snatched by the former director of its own offering, and especially the praise heaped on Marvel Snap's relative simplicity and quick-fire gameplay, a word-of-mouth buzz that saw it downloaded 22 million times, as popular as playing Carnage when Deadpool is already on the board. Yeah, see, you get it.
I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
When Looking Glass Studios released a space-themed first-person adventure in 1994, they blew people's minds. You could say it was a system shock.
Boo!
It was a critical success and even sparked an also-beloved sequel, developed with a spin-off team at developer Irrational Games. But sadly, the sequel didn't sell well enough to help fix the financial problems facing Looking Glass Studios at the time. On the 24th of May 2000, they had to close their doors for good. While the studio was gone, the IP was not, but it was stuck in a kind of limbo. During Looking Glass Studios' complicated financial history of sales and deals, publisher Electronic Arts was left with the name System Shock, but not the right to make new games in the series, which instead ended up in the hands of an insurance company who, surprise surprise, didn't make games. Or maybe I'm wrong and Insurance Shock will be coming out next year, set on a space station without adequate contents insurance. Ooh. And so it sat unused like that one posh bottle of fizz your family have been saving for a special occasion for the last 15 years, but you simply haven't done anything special. It did inspire other titles like Deus Ex, directed and produced by System Shock's producer Warren Spector, to similar critical success. But then in 2007, the world got Bioshock. Alright, I see what's happening here. Set in the underwater city of Rapture and developed by System Shock 2 devs Irrational Games, Bioshock did not hide where its inspiration came from. While the aesthetic was different, the unsettling Fallen Utopia vibes were very similar to those found on System Shock's Citadel station. It took System Shock's idea of a now-ruined society and made it steampunk with Art Deco style. Even some of the puzzles were the same, like searching out codes to unlock new areas or get to hidden items. Bioshock proved so successful that it spawned 2 sequels and a DLC, popularised multiple game mechanics, and is often mistakenly credited with the origin of the 0451 code regularly hidden in other games as Easter eggs, when actually it was referencing System Shock. But despite how beloved it was, game director Ken Levine stepped back from the series after the stress of managing Bioshock Infinite's development, so we have not seen another Bioshock game for a while. What's Ken Levine working on now, anyway? Judas, a first-person science fiction shooter set in an unsettling fallen utopia in space after a bloody revolution. I guess he couldn't stay away for long.
You perhaps forgot that Wario used to do more than show up for golf tournaments, release minigame collections, and call the Mario Brothers crazy eyeball men. Time was, Mario's sinister doppelganger had his own platforming series to rival that of his crazy eyeball nemesis. The Wario Land games were a perfect side dish to the Mario series, offering a brand of platforming that was fast-paced, acrobatic, and all about keeping up Wario's momentum as he rolled and smashed his way to financial gain. All wrapped up in plotlines so baffling we don't dare even try and describe them because they're about Wario, for instance, chasing a cat into a pyramid and... No. We cannot get into it. Sadly, Nintendo has ditched this platforming series entirely, probably thinking there was simply more appetite for the WarioWare microgame series. Perhaps they were right, but we like to imagine a few Yoshi plushies got hurled angrily into walls at Nintendo HQ when they saw the breakout popularity of Pizza Tower. This bizarrely animated, ruthlessly pizza-centric platformer took the R-dashing, block-bashing, momentum-gathering gameplay of Wario Land and arguably took it to greater heights, with Polygon's reviewer calling it the rare homage that is actually better than the things that inspired it. One of the most fated games of last year, we can only hope Nintendo sees the popularity of Pizza Tower and returns to Wario Land. Or doesn't. I mean, they'd only fill it with scenes of Wario having to battle a nightmarish clown called Rudy because the music box he was trapped in was... You know what? We really cannot get into it.
You deserve the best. So join us at 2 Point Hospital. We're open for new staff, new patients, and a new you. Can I go play golf yet? I'm teeing off at 3.
While this list has likely already triggered some wonderful memories for 90s gamers watching, there is one shared experience we have not yet mentioned. Putting a bunch of food stalls next to a huge roller coaster and then seeing everyone throw up as they exit the ride. We're of course talking about Theme Park, a simulation game so successful and iconic that British developer Bullfrog created many more in the theme series, such as the similarly iconic Theme Hospital. This humorous take on running a hospital was full of comical diseases and ailments, so as to keep everything light-hearted and not dampen the mood with the brutal realities of running a real hospital, although they could have told the people animating the game's intro. Now a bunch of millennials are remembering where that recurring nightmare came from. You're welcome. But the game itself was actually very funny and memorable in a good way. Its unique style caught a lot of attention, including from the Daily Telegraph newspaper, who called it a sick computer game used by British Medical Association to train senior management. Ah yes, I almost forgot the 90s press pretty much hated all video games. But lots of people didn't hate Theme Hospital, and it sold extremely well, over 4 million copies. Sadly, we never saw another installment, as Bullfrog were absorbed and closed down by their new owners, Electronic Arts. Oh, them again. I wonder what they did with the IP. Oh yeah, nothing. So we never got a sequel to this tongue-in-cheek hospital management sim. Then, in 2018, Sega announced 2 Point Hospital, a tongue-in-cheek hospital management sim. Two of Theme Hospital's developers, Mark Webley and Gary Carr, got tired of waiting for EA and decided to make a sequel of their own. 2 Point Hospital ticked the boxes of many a Theme Hospital fan, even featuring diseases they had cut out from the original game, and bringing in over 5 million players to run their very own hospital where people's heads can turn into light bulbs.
He suddenly developed lightheadedness.
It was so successful, in fact, that the studios were able to create its very own successor, 2 Point Campus, which sees you running a university that has courses such as Night School.
Yes! Okay, we repelled the invaders.
With the regular release of free updates and purchasable content packs, we can bet that EA are kicking themselves that they let the theme games disappear. Still, they're making a killing off The Sims. They've just announced a new Sims 4 expansion pack. Dumpster Diver. Find suspect furniture and forgotten food in your local garbage. After all, one Sim's trash is another Sim's treasure. Admit it. You're not even sure if that's real or not.
People don't usually find military strategy games to be that cute, unless you have a particular fondness for the StarCraft Zerg or something. And if that's you, hey, I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. Strategy has rarely been cuter than the Advance Wars games, developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance and DS handhelds. Beloved war games in which anime friends embark on a brutal land war that sees regiments under their control vying for supremacy by land, sea and air. Sweet games that you can find in Shigeru Miyamoto's office at Nintendo HQ in the big bin marked "No longer any f***s given." No f***s given for publisher Nintendo, that is, who aside from a remaster of the first 2 games haven't published any Advance Wars since 2008, but a great many f***s given by Chucklefish. A British developer who in 2017 revealed Advance Wars are like Wargroove, saying, "As big fans of those games, we were disappointed to find that nothing in this genre was available on current generation platforms and set out to fill the gap ourselves." Fill it they did. Upon its release in 2019, Wargroove made back its development costs in 3 short days and garnered glowing reviews across the board. Wargroove's triumphant debut even led to a sequel, proving there really was still an appetite for this genre of cutesy strategy. Wargroove nailed the Advance Wars gameplay and vibes, and even surpassed it in some areas, e.g. by having a playable dog. Stick that in your big bin, Nintendo. Although of course being released on the Nintendo Switch, both Wargroove games will still have made Miyamoto and co a good deal of money, you have to imagine. You cannot beat Miyamoto, so don't even try, is what it says on the door to his office. And what he said to me on the day of my wedding. And what will be written on my gravestone.
Canonical Alucard, canonical Alucard, canonical
Yeah,
Alucard.
right.
It's quite easy. It's quite fun to say, actually. Canonical Alucard, canonical Alucard.
You know what would be really
canonical
fun to say is the outro to this video.
Canonical Alucard. You can watch them. Maybe we'll put a canonical Alucard up here. Yeah, one of these. Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Well, if you enjoyed this video, we've got more here to watch. Give this video a thumbs up. You can support us even further by subscribing if you haven't already, or even further by joining our Patreon, where you can then join our Discord and ask us questions like, how easy is it to say canonical Alucard? Quite easy, actually. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let us know your suggestions of spiritual sequels that you really, really liked, all those amazing successes that publishers are like, grr, wish we'd made. But yeah, see you next time. Bye!
Canonical, damn it!